What's going on, good people? Your boy E-Buck in the building. Your favorite co-host. What's happening? It is time for another episode of that show we call the Guru Sports Session. As I said, I am the co-host and moderator and such, E-Buck. But the man with the master plan is that dude right here. Let me switch him over to the big boy seat, and we could get it in. Without further ado, I give you, ladies and gentlemen, Hugh Lee. What's up, Hugh?
What's good, E man?
What's happening? What we talking, man? Let's get it in.
I want to start off with Cooper Flag and his 42-point performance. I didn't know that was a rookie's franchise record, man. That really surprised me. I thought that other people like a Kyrie or one of the other guys, big names from Duke, may have had that record already. I was looking and no, man, nobody had that record. But Cooper Flag is definitely making, his impact in college basketball right now. And that's some of the good things that has been going on right now with the men's college side of things.
All right, like I said, we getting deep into the conference season there in NCAA college basketball, and the start. We going with Cooper Flag. Cooper Flag, of course, is the perennial number one pick that we all think is going to be the next big thing. For the most part, he had a pretty decent season at Duke because that is where he went, and that's the school we're talking about right now. But he decided he needed to show people that yeah, I'm for real, for real. Let me show you what I could really do. And decided to go ahead and hit one of the conference opponents with a 42 piece. Okay. Now understand we're talking college, so anytime you score, I would say what 25 or more, that's a pretty good college game. Would you say you?
Yeah, that's actually a pretty decent game in
Yeah.
college.
So when you hit 42, it's like, yeah, but then you got to remember, we talking about Duke. That program, the program of many championships and Hall of Famers and all of that, you would figure between people like Jay Williams and who else? Kyrie Irving and all the great players that have played at Duke over the years that one of them would at least threw up a 50 piece as a freshman, but
Yeah,
no Sir Bob. He is not only the first freshman to hit 40 in a game, but the 42 is the most not only in Duke freshman basketball history, but in the ACC freshman basketball history, which I was really surprised by. Like I said, we know this kid is good. A lot of the pros been talking about how good Cooper Flag is, but for him to be on this level already, and keep in mind, we talking January, we still got a couple more months to go. I could definitely see him breaking that record at some point. Hugh, what you think?
I definitely see him breaking that record eventually soon. I give it like I believe he'll do it before March Madness even set out, man. One thing I noticed too when I think about it when we were talking about him and getting that franchise 42-point record is the fact that the reason why we haven't really seen that because Coach K didn't even get down like that, man. Most times he distributed the ball through everyone, man. Especially as a freshman, you had to earn your stripes, and they already had him as one of the better players coming in, and with the NIL money and everything to set for him too as well. It's not like they laying out the red carpet, but then at this point, he's one of the better players, so you got to let him play. And then, like you said, he wanted to show them more that he could say. Actions speak louder than words. And when he put up those points, man, that let you know that he was legit, and he's definitely one of the guys that you should be looking at as one of the NBA soon-to-be top prospects.
Right, and of course, as we get into deeper into the basketball season, we definitely gonna mention some players for you to watch, particularly on the women's side, because we definitely been keeping up with that a little bit more. But yeah, that is definitely one of the guys to watch there on the Duke Blue Devils. They got a couple other good players on that squad, but Duke traditionally was not the type of program that was trying to get a one and done. But again, we talking about a different space and time now. In this day of NIL and transfer portal and whatnot, when you get a player like Cooper Flag, you gotta let him play. Otherwise, he might just dip on you.
Yeah, you can't play that game with these people nowadays, man, with the NIL. We was talking about that before when it comes to basketball, football, baseball, whatever the game may be. If I'm one of the best players, man, I'm not going to sit out. It's not like how it used to be where you had to earn your stripes and you sat out and you paid your dues. If I'm not getting the attention I deserve here, I can go elsewhere, man. They let do the NILs and the transfer portal so fast nowadays, man. Like we said before from Tennessee, when they was playing football still in the season, one of the guys left mid-season without even having anything to say to the team. So, yeah, NIL and the transfer portal changed things tremendously, and that's the reason why I feel like now you can't joke around with these players and sit them out for too long because if you treat them like that, it's a what have you done for me lately league now, and it's getting more like the pro side of things now in college. So I definitely want to see how things going to be interesting.
It ain't getting more like the pros. It
It
is the
is.
pros. How deep
It
is
is.
it? I actually met somebody the other day. He is going to start a new job at Wayne State University. He is in charge of their transfer portal. In other words, it's his job to find out who done went in the transfer portal, what they looking at, what kind of NIL deals they can set up for them, the whole shebang bang. It's an actual job for this person.
It's a cool job, man.
Not bad. And then, of course, I met a couple people a couple weeks ago. They are actually sports agents, but not your typical sports agents. They're actually going to start being a sports agency that uh, specialize in high school students, because a lot of these high school students now starting to get NIL offers and NIL deals in high school.
That's
That's just
cool.
how deep this gets.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you lock down people, man, in like their junior or their senior year. That's funny though, man. When they start locking down people, which I believe they will soon in middle school or going into their
And we
freshman
said
season.
that last week, Hugh. I could definitely see it.
I
Yep.
definitely see that happening soon.
Right. Speaking of people and transport NIL, we're gonna switch over to women, I believe now. Remember the young lady we were talking about a couple weeks ago,
Yeah, from Rutgers.
Naomi McMillan? Well,
Mm-hmm.
apparently her suspension or whatever it was is over, and she came back with a vengeance. Do you see that game, Hugh?
It's like a 33, 34 piece he threw up. Yeah,
35 piece, yes, sir.
well, something pretty big, man. And it
Speaking
was
of freshmen, for that matter.
They definitely was hyping her up too, like she the real deal, man. They said that she's light years ahead of what she's supposed to be. It's gonna be going neck and neck with some of these Juju Watkins and some of these better players, and that's why I think she was so pissed too. Because the fact is, she had a chance to showcase really what she was all about, and you couldn't even put her out there because of the incident. Yeah, it was a melee that she had and she was involved with. But I know I'd have been feeling some kind of way too if I can't play the best, because that's what you always do. You know what I'm saying? You want to stack yourself up and see how you are when it comes to the best players, and college, and yeah, it was just unfortunate that she couldn't play.
Yeah, well,
McMillan.
hopefully this is just an isolated incident, and the rest of her college career. Because again, her father, who kind of serves as her agent at this point, is like, look, we always plan on going to Rutgers. It's near the crib. She's staying at Rutgers. It ain't about to be an issue. We shall see. We shall see.
Mm-hmm. You better definitely give her them opportunities. Hopefully she don't make any more mistakes, man. I know dad in her corner, and hopefully he's basically telling her you need to be a professional, definitely making this type of money and being in this situation in your stature. I'm just hoping that she can maintain herself and do what she needs to do amongst her and her colleagues, man. Because now you can't even call them like college kids, man. They're colleagues. They're
When you making adult money, I can't call you no college kid at 18 no
no,
more.
not at
So
all.
again, Kylie McMiller is her name. Rutgers Lady Scarlet Knights is the team that we're referring to now. You can definitely check her out. That team is in the Big Ten, and of course, I believe what we're getting into next is some of the big games we got coming up. You
Yeah, man, we got a stack card, man. I want us to start picking some of these games of who we have, man. Starting off, man, the Oklahoma and the South Carolina game. You already know, man. You don't gotta ask me. You know who I'm going with.
well, see, here's the thing, good people. Much like it seems like with every major sports that's in college right now, it's coming down to the two mega conferences that we got right now, which is the SEC and the Big Ten, and then we got kind of in the mix Big 12, ACC, so on and so forth. But then, of course, you got the mid majors and such. But right now, in terms of the top 25, most of your top 25 teams is either in that SEC or the Big Ten. So right now we're getting to that meat of the conference season. You're gonna see a lot of good games between a lot of these good teams. And Oklahoma, South Carolina, definitely amongst the two. I'm definitely going with South Carolina in that one because I believe that one is at home, and South Carolina does have one of the better home crowds in the SEC. But yeah, the thing I like about South Carolina, they are very team oriented in terms of how they play. The way Don got them, look, it's defense first. Let our defense lead to our transition offense. And, we got people on the squad that can score. So we ready to deal with it the way we going to deal with it. But we got to deal with it the right way,
I'm
which, of
glad.
course, leads to one of our favorite subjects in regards to South Carolina. that one young lady on the squad that I'll let Hugh talk to you about.
Definitely glad they're giving her props and starting to let her play more, man. I wasn't happy when they wasn't giving her no minutes. They're not still giving her the minutes I think they should and what she deserved, but they better do right by her, man. I know she loved her. She respect Don Staley and what South Carolina and what the Lady Gamecocks bring and what they've meant to the sport in the last like at least 4 to 5 years, just building that championship stature, man. They better treat her right, man, because I feel like if she's
Again,
happy,
good
she'll
Hugh.
be elsewhere.
Don't forget to tell the people who we talking about now.
Malaysia, for Wally.
Oh yeah,
Because
basically,
we talking about her in South Carolina.
sophomore combo guard for South Carolina. Again, 5'10", one of the fastest players you meet. Man,
One of the most
imagine
skillful players.
imagine a game between her and Rutgers, and them two girls, her and McMillan, go at it. That would be a nice matchup.
I would definitely like to see something like that, man, because
I mean, the ball handling skills between them two alone is just phenomenal. But yep, what else you got for us, Hugh?
LSU versus South Carolina, because what I'm looking at is LSU finally starting to get to play people. Because at first we were saying, man, they're not playing nobody, and it was still close games, and it was head scratchings. You like, man, for them to be top ranked, they're still barely squeaking past some of these teams, and now this is going to be one of their biggest tests. And it's always good to see these two match up in the SEC. We seen it last year, but it's better now to me because it's young kids, and it's like you still have your Floje and some of the other girls on the team, but this team is actually pretty stacked too, man. But South Carolina didn't really taper off too much neither.
Well, that being said, I got a different outcome in this one. I think LSU gonna mess around and win that game because, and watching them the last few weeks, they are definitely the deepest team in women's college basketball right now in terms of who they got coming off the bench and whatnot. They got like 6'5" and 6'6" coming off the bench. That's just off the bench. And then, of course, the three main starters they have, which is, of course, Flajay Johnson, who has stepped her game up to like a couple extra levels from anything we've seen last year. Michaela Williams, who basically now is like, I'm not no freshman no more. Give me the rock, let me handle biz. So she is a scorer. A scorer. And then, of course, they have uh, Anisha Morrow. Let me get the name correct. The person leading the nation right now, men or women, in double doubles, and has almost 100 double doubles in her illustrious college career. Keep in mind, she transferred from DePaul a couple years ago, and of course was on that squad with Angel Reese last year, and they dominated the boards. And she's doing much of the same again this year, averaging about 18 and 12 a game. She definitely is going to be a top 5 lottery pick in this year's WNBA draft. It's just a nice team to watch. So when you put them two teams together, yeah, that's definitely going to be one of the higher rated games this year, no doubt.
What did you say to E? Where's this game gonna be at? I'm not mistaken, it's South Carolina, and
Yeah,
you
well,
said
keep in
LA
mind these
home.
teams are going to play each other twice, man. So
Mhm.
they both get a chance to play at home, and just like last year when they played them two games, I think we're going to get two excellent games this time around too.
I believe it when I see it at home. I'm still going with South Carolina on that one, man.
Well,
'Cause
you know, you're a strong South Carolina fan, but no, I definitely see LSU, and I think they could beat them both times. To be quite honest, like I said, I just like the
This is not
overall
like how
composition
you
of that team.
do when you do the stuff when you be betting on FanDuel. I put 20 on it if you want. I don't know if you want that smoke right now.
I don't want the type of smoke you talking about. You know, I like to do a little smoke. You talking big smoke? I ain't smirking with you.
UCLA versus Maryland. Hey, this is one right here that I feel like Maryland can catch them slipping, man. And Maryland at home, we thought that Maryland had a chance before, man, when they played. I forgot who they played, man. It was a really good game too. Who did they play?
USC.
And they barely lost to USC, man. They gave them fits the whole game, and I think it came down to a few mental mistakes in that game that Maryland lost. But yeah, man, this was gonna be closer than what people think. It might be close for comfort, but I'm gonna still think that UCLA might pull this one out. Like I said, it's gonna be close, but I'm gonna still go with UCLA in
Keep
this
in
one.
mind, Maryland has what few teams in the country have when dealing with UCLA. They got size that they could throw at your girl Betts, Lauren Betts. basically right now one of the odds-on favorites to be a player of the year. At 6'7", she's a very dominant big, but you can frustrate her if you got enough people on the board to kind of frazzle her and perhaps get her to not shoot correctly or perhaps get in foul trouble. Maryland has that type of squad, and then they are very, very well coached. Coach Breeze over there at Maryland, she does a very good job with that squad. So yeah, they got a couple good shooters on the squad as well. So you definitely don't want to get in the back and forth with them. UCLA, they are good in terms of having a good front court game and a half court setting, but going back and forth, running up and down, they don't want to do that with Maryland. I do think they will win that game, but again, the fact that I believe that game is in Maryland, that crowd is definitely going to be into it. That is definitely one of the better gyms to play in terms of women's college basketball.
Yeah, that's going to be a real close one right there, man. I
Absolutely.
definitely wouldn't say it's going to be a
And
good.
don't sleep on that kid Kiki Rice for UCLA also.
Okay. Ohio State versus USC, and even though I know it's ladies basketball, I know you still don't like that team, man. But you got to give Kylie McMahon her props, man. She be tearing it up over there at OSU. But yeah, I don't know if they really want that smoke right now with USC, and they're at home. I'm gonna definitely go with USC in this one.
Now, of course, there's going to be a few times when we have to mention the school in Columbus, as I will call them. I will allow Hugh to say their natural government name because I don't play that. This is a Michigan house. We don't do that up in here. So yeah, that school down in Columbus, they definitely have a good basketball squad for the women this year. They got a good guard combo down there. That kid McMahon, and I forget the other name of the freshman that goes with her. But yeah, they are one of the three teams that are undefeated so far this season. So you got to give them their credit. But that being said, I've yet to see a team this season that can do anything with Juju. It's up to Juju whether or not they're going to win that game or not. Because basically, if Juju decides I'm going to be the factor, and in the end, either I'm going to light you up with my own J or pass it off to the people that's going to get you situated, when she plays her full game to the extent that she has been, it's very few teams in the country that's going to be able to do anything with USC.
My homegirl Kiki can shoot the lights out. She shoot like, man.
Yeah.
she
I am
shoot
praying,
like,
absolutely. Do not forget about that kid, the former kid from Stanford that transferred to USC. Again, she will definitely be a top 5
she
pick in
got that
this year's
jumper like
draft.
a
Also,
gold man. She can shoot the hell out that
she
rock.
is WNBA ready right now. Right now.
South Carolina versus Texas, and this one it might be tricky because I didn't think they was gonna whoop on Texas like they did, but they were at home and they got to go to Texas on this one, man. I'm gonna ride with my girls, but then I say, man, I don't think that they're gonna really.
I definitely think South Carolina will beat this game, but don't sleep on Texas, y'all.
Hey, it could go either way in this one.
Don't sleep on that kid Harmon is good. They got some good guard play in Texas. They also have a pretty decent bench that they can bring some bigs off of, but they also a pretty good 3-point shooting team. Texas offers a lot of different things you have to be worried about.
Like I wasn't shocked they lost that first game to South Carolina, but just how bad it was. I was thinking that it'll be closer than that. So I was a little surprised with seeing that. I didn't think that was going to materialize.
All right, what else you got here?
This one's really going to be a good one too, man. This is the one right here, the UCLA versus USC. I think this is going to be one of the first losses on UCLA's books right now.
If anybody beats UCLA this season before the tournament, it's going to be USC, and we know this. That is a rivalry that goes back many, many years, as you know.
Football, basketball, baseball, you name
right. It don't too much matter whether it's at USC or UCLA. It's going to be a packed house, okay? I'm talking about you're going to see all types of celebrities there. Keep in mind, if they are in town, you probably going to get several of the WNBA and NBA players in the house to see that one. So don't be surprised if you see like a LeBron James, a Lisa Leslie, Cheryl Miller in the house for that game. That's going to be big time, and that's definitely going to be, I do believe that's going to come on national TV. I want to say CBS or one of them. But yeah, you definitely, if you don't watch any other game this year in women's college basketball, that is one of the 2 or 3 games you definitely want to watch. I'm not even picking that one. I don't know. I don't know, Hugh.
I think they'll eventually split that series, but I'm gonna go with USC in that first one at home, though. And I think that series.
I mean, because Betts versus Aya Friend, that was a good matchup last year when they played each other. So I only can imagine it's going to be the same this year. And again, Juju always a factor.
UConn versus South Carolina.
Here's another good game. Now it's going to surprise you, Hugh,
Mm-hmm.
but I got to take your girls in this one because right now, UConn they have a big man problem. Okay, granted they got El Afi, the 6'5" kid out of Egypt. She is primarily their big person. Right now, we don't know what's going on with that kid Ice Brady. She is just not progressing at all. And I hope by the time they get there, one or two of those other guys that they have that's been rehabbing is able to play because they're gonna need all the bigs they can get versus South Carolina. Not that they have a lot of bigs on South Carolina, but as far as transition goes, yeah, they're gonna have problems with that. In order for them to beat South Carolina, AZ Fudd, and of course Paige Beckers, they're gonna have some big time games. I'm talking about they may have to go 30 apiece in order to pull that off, I think.
Yeah, because they too banged up over there, man. And Paige is still banged up, man. So yeah, I didn't really too much care about that one coming
Yeah.
ahead too. But she can't stay healthy.
The latest is that she's supposed to play tonight, so hopefully by the time we air this tonight, she would have played. It's a 6:30 game for them tonight, so hopefully she's back in the lineup and playing. I sincerely hope so, and I also hope that AZ Fudd is playing well like she has been this past week. She is definitely seeming to be at least as healthy as she's gonna be, and yeah, she been putting that ball in the basket quite
Yeah, she's
nicely.
been averaging like 20 some odd points. So yeah, she definitely been seeming like she's been healthier because before she seemed shaky, but they had her on minute restrictions. And we've seen that before, especially when they played USC the first time.
Right, and not to get into too many other games, but some other teams in both of those conferences you want to look out for. Look out for Michigan. They got that kid Swartz that's been playing pretty good. Iowa's still not a bad team out there in the Big Ten. They got a nice little squad. Michigan State been in the top 25. They look good in the Big Ten. Okay, as far as the SEC go, check out Mississippi State. They got a nice little squad. Tennessee was undefeated for quite some time this season. And when they get to shooting them threes, it's like Golden State all over again.
I think they're the best team shooting threes in college, period.
I would agree.
It's fun to watch them play. They just let it rain.
And like I said, they are definitely running guns. So check that squad out. North Carolina State, don't forget about them. Remember, they made the Final Four last year, and they still got a pretty decent squad this year.
Yeah, a really good, solid team too, man. For most of the girls that's coming back, that is definitely a good team to look out for, man. Because they gave teams fits until the very end. Shocked a few teams in the tournament last year. I didn't think it was going to happen that way, but to have most of them girls back, yeah, that's going to definitely be a fun team to watch again.
Right, but like I said, definitely if you got that SEC or ACC package over there and your sports hookup, by all means, sign up and check out them games. And then, as always, you can always go to YouTube and catch the highlights of your favorite women's team. It's pretty much type in USC women's battle or whatever, and they'll usually have some type of highlight package for you to check out. That being said, Hugh, the latest news in terms of sports packaging, by the way, they finally got that sports channel together over there on DirecTV. All sports, only sports. The asking price, I believe, is $70.99. You think it's worth it?
Yeah, because of the fact is now when you got people like Hulu, and then you have all these other streaming networks, Fubo, which you was telling me about, you wasn't too excited about, and then you have your YouTube. Everybody's going up, man. At one point YouTube was 72, and then if you added a sports package, it was like $82. Even without the sports package, now it's $82. I think that Hulu was like $90. Fubo always been too pricey. And yeah, man, even like your Netflix and just your regular Disney Pluses are starting to go up. Everybody going up on their prices now. But yeah, you got something, and then it's crazy too because it was DirecTV, man. They've been giving me like mail for years, man, because I ain't been with DirecTV for a while because I felt like I didn't want that dish on my house anymore, and I wanted to stream, and I was tired of having that box. And since they went to the streaming, man, it seemed like it materialized into a better direction, and I wanted to do that at first, but I had the little tug of war between the regular direct and the streaming service. So I just decided not to do any of it. But if they get like a sports package like that, I have no loyalty to you. Because remember when YouTube got the package that the Red Zone package, I left Sling. So if DirecTV get a package with all sports, hey, sorry YouTube man, y'all went up in price too, and that's like about
But remember what we
$11
talking?
cheaper.
We talking about straight sports,
Yeah,
nothing
yeah.
else. No TV, just only sports. I understand that works for you, but I imagine basic person A, they're gonna want to watch a movie or something every now and then. Not granted, you know what I would suggest if you in your sports like that, but you still like to catch a movie or two, you go ahead and get that sports package, and then go ahead and hook up your Tubi or your Pluto TV, and there you have it. And you know
Yeah,
them is free. So
yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, I do like all sports, but I do want to watch my Bob Burgers too, man.
see what I'm
So
saying? But
yeah, you
again,
definitely gotta
I
have
do
some
believe they
type
show
of
that on Tubi.
yeah.
So there you have it.
You need a little rest from sports every now and then. And this coming from you.
Absolutely.
This coming from you, y'all. You know,
Yeah,
this is
you
great.
know that if the sports guru was saying that, that let you know everything you need to know.
LSU versus Texas. And this one, I might surprise you, man. I think Texas at home might get them, man.
Man, I'm still going with LSU on this one. Like I said, the scary part about LSU right now, they still figuring some stuff out with some of the combinations on the floor and whatnot. For as good as I've seen them play these last couple weeks, I think they got a couple extra levels they can get to. And if they get to that point, they're gonna be hell to deal with for anybody, Juju and them included. So I'm going with LSU until they lose at this point. They undefeated. Let's see who can knock them off. If it ain't South Carolina, I can see it.
USC versus UCLA. I had this a split already. I had USC winning that first one, but then I got UCLA winning the one
And
at home.
again, it don't too much matter because like I said they so close in proximity to each other. Home field advantage really don't matter much
It's
in
basically
either one
like
of
the
these games.
Los Angeles Lakers and the Clippers
Pretty
almost,
much.
like, or the
And
New York
again, like I
Giants and the
said,
Jets.
it all depends on who gets the upper hand early on. Uh, I think they'll have trouble stopping bets on their end. I think they'll have trouble stopping Ifraden and Juju on their end. So hell, it wouldn't surprise me if that'd be one of them games where they both end up getting 100.
Man, since we finished with that, man, we talked about something today, man, and I want to ask your opinion on this, man, because the NBA is starting to get like a soap opera over there, man. You know, Pat Riley, old school, he can care less what my man's Jimmy Buckets is saying, but from what you told me just recently, I didn't know all that. I knew he was ready to move on, but I didn't know he talked to Patrick Riley in person and saying, "Man, I don't care where I go, I just want out." So, how far do you think that's going to go? Because it's already to the point where everything materialized the way it did. So, what you think is really going to go down now when it comes to Jimmy Butler and what team that he goes to? Because I think they're going to still try to have some leverage in all this.
Hello, who is it? It's me, Jimmy. What do you want, Jimmy? Out of here. Let me out of here. According to the recent reports, the big suspension went on last week for 7 games. Pat decided to sit down and see if them days he gave Jimmy off did him any good and discuss with him. And Jimmy let him know in uncertain terms. Ain't nothing changed, bruh. I still want up out of here. But it's Miami, Jimmy. Ain't no state sales tax. I gives no damn. I need to be gone. You gonna sign next year? Hell no. You might well trade me, otherwise you ain't gonna get jack. Cause after this year, I'm gone. Trade me now. Right now. Where you want to go? I don't give a damn. So much so that Jimmy put out there with his agent, and his agent letting everybody know it's all good. Trade me anywhere. Anywhere but here. So if we done got to that point, Hugh, if you a Miami Heat fan and you like, but Jimmy,
He love it in Miami. He love it there, like the outside part, but like
Right, like I said, he loved Miami.
don't
He
love
just
it.
don't love the Miami Heat.
No,
And remember, it was a time and place where it was like, oh yeah, Miami. Well, if it's cool with Jimmy, it's cool with us. How times have changed. How times have changed. But yeah, that being said, we already know the main deal that they're trying to get done. Bradley Beal, what's happening? We talked about it last week. What you want to do, bruh?
you heard them making fun of a man at one of the games previously when he got demoted and he was coming off the bench. Yeah, man, he need to go ahead and just let it be known, man. I mean, you might as well try to go somewhere where you could be a superstar, man. You know, you ain't
Right.
gonna get the love you want in Phoenix. You might as well forget that.
Meanwhile, in other news on the soap opera front in the NBA, let's talk about what's going on there in New Orleans and that kid Zion.
Zion won out. You could tell the way he acted and just his expressions, man. At first, when he came back, I was thinking he'd be ready, but that team played very lackluster. We looked at that and we said, "Damn, we didn't think they'd be that bad." When you got CJ McCollum having 50-piece games and just the team around them, man. Willie Green's still a good coach, and that man can coach and always have been a solid coach. But it's just something that's over there in New Orleans he's not feeling right now. He was getting into trouble and all types of things before in the past, and that seemed like that kind of calmed down. But I just don't really think that he never really wanted to be there, man. When he first got there, he was happy because he was the number one overall draft pick, but I don't think that he's feeling it there, and it's time for him to move and get a change of scenery.
You know, clearly he is definitely in a lot better shape physically. We can see that.
Oh,
From
absolutely.
a mental standpoint, he done checked out on them a long
Yeah,
time ago. And the
yeah,
problem now, of
yeah.
course, he was the fact that they didn't pay Zion buku money. You can't just trade him to any old body now. He a hard dude to get rid of. But I
No,
know a team that kind of need to get rid of somebody, and they got somebody they need to get rid of. Could that possibly be the move? Go ahead and send young Jimmy to New Orleans and send Zion to Miami. That'd be good for Jimmy, probably. For Zion, that probably make a bad situation worse.
man,
Do you see what
Miami.
kind of situations Zion get himself into, food wise, and of course, female wise? Do we need to
We
go back to
already
that
know
subject?
about that issue, man, and what he's been going through with the female.
Yeah,
You know, we always make jokes when we seen them memes when he was pulling up in Wendy's and all these spots back in the day. Yeah, I don't know. I think that'd definitely be the end of his career, man. We both said before that we thought, like you said, that you thought he was going to be the best player, and I said I thought Ja was. But man, both of them, their personalities and their attitudes and what goes on outside the NBA might just make it a default that both of them just
yeah,
out. We've said
agreed.
that, had that conversation before that draft, but Ja, hanging out with dudes, and he always had a good life, but you want to be a thug now all of a sudden, now that you're in this part of your career. Zion with women, and like you said, it's not even Miami that he's in. Yeah, that'll make a bad situation worse. And then that food in Miami, man, yeah, that man.
Yeah, it seemed like them two players in particular, if you sent them somewhere in one of them out of way places where they wouldn't get in so much trouble, like say a Utah or Indiana, Oklahoma City, someplace like that, maybe that might be a better move for both of them long term. But right now, yeah, it's just because they two of the bigger people making the money right now, they get to play the game.
And I definitely wouldn't want him to go to OKC because, man,
I mean, I don't want him messing up their chemistry at all, man.
boy over there,
I'm just
Harvest,
saying, but in terms of staying out of trouble, it's only so much trouble you're gonna get into in OKC.
you ain't lying. You ain't lying. So yeah, man.
But yeah, for those teams, the saga continues, and of course, the other bad news for the NBA, these ratings, y'all, they still not good.
Not at all. And then you heard
Still
about
not.
like how they want to do the All-Star formats and all this crazy stuff they're trying to do now. They're making a bad situation worse, man. And a lot of the old heads, man, when you be looking at all the smoke and different like podcasts, they're saying that they believe the game is getting worse because they're making it like it's more like a Euro League, man, like FIFA almost. And they said that it's just not hitting.
Yeah, it's the sad truth of the matter. You know, hopefully we'll see what goes on once football season ends, and it's pretty much their time to shine. But of course, they're gonna have something else they're gonna have to contend with, and we'll talk about that more next week when we get into what's going on with the unrivaled 3-on-3 league that the women are having.
Yeah,
Ain't gonna talk about it now, Hugh. Say that for next week. Let's keep
that's
it moving.
good. I want to go ahead and I want to get into the college semifinals now, man. The playoff that just happened, man, with some of the teams. And we're going to start off with that team from Columbus. You love the Hay versus Texas.
Look, I'm gonna go ahead and give you the spoiler alert right now. As much as I hate it, as much as I don't like it, that team in Columbus, they're probably gonna win the whole Smurfing thing. And the person that benefits the most from that, obviously, is Coach Day, who, was getting berated for what happened in that Michigan Columbus team game, where
We
they
sparked
was favored
him.
by double digits and lost big time.
We gave them that motivation to go all the way and pull it
And
out,
pretty
man.
much everybody's pretty much like, yeah, if you don't go to this playoff and show up and show out, you probably up out of here. He already did enough to save his job, at least for next year. We know that. But you go ahead and you win this championship, you probably good for a few more years, as far as they're concerned.
What do you think, too, about the rivalry with Marcus Freeman coming back to his old alma mater, man, and playing Ohio State as a
Ain't
coach?
that crazy? Ain't that crazy? The team that he played for, now he got to play against. And of course, you got to get that dude his props by being the first African American head coach to play in a national championship game in
And
college football
Asian.
history.
Don't forget about his Asian descent.
Well, again, the first person of color to be a coach in national championship game. Congrats on that. I think that's about as far as it goes. Keep in mind, it's not really good for the playoff if Notre Dame wins that game. Think about it, Hugh. We already said every year now in this playoff, Notre Dame automatically in before they
Regardless,
play any game because of how it's set up with them being an independent contractor like that, but yet a good team. Not to mention the fact that when Notre Dame is on TV, people watch TV. All that plays into the hands of the committee. So again, right now, we don't even know who's going to be in the playoff next year, but we already know one team that's in it right now, and
dang,
that's Notre Dame. I will also say, whoever wins this game, whether it's Notre Dame or that team in Columbus, they automatically in the playoff for next year, unless they lose. I say they have to lose as many as 3 games in order for them not to be in.
agree. I like their motivation too, man. Will Howard with his grandma, that kept him motivated. I like the Riley Leonard story about his mom always throwing jabs at him.
It's definitely a lot of good storylines in this thing.
It was really cool to see that. But the Jeremiah Love kid from Notre Dame, that running back, I ain't seen him run wild like that ever before until I started watching this year. And then in the playoffs, it seemed like he got worse. That man's running wild.
Right, and don't forget how Ryan Clark's kid transferred over to Notre Dame, and now he is one of the premier players on that squad. So of course he has a vested interest, which of course puts ESPN solely in there because they love that kid Ryan, and obviously they cheering for that kid to do something good that game. But like I said, when you look at the game straight up, you see what happened with Penn State and Notre Dame, and again, I got to give Penn State a little credit. I've been hard on Penn State all year.
Yeah, I've been dogging out them. We both been dogging them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave him credit. I feel bad for Drew Allen. I didn't like the fact that he didn't get the wide receivers involved, though. Even though their running back carried the team on his back that game with the 3 touchdowns, and he exploded. But I didn't feel like he did enough in the passing game, man, besides the tight end. But that dude's a stud. He definitely going to be the top tight end, maybe damn near one of the top 10 draft picks this year. But
absolutely,
he declared he was going in the
kind of a
draft.
bad draft. Yeah, he definitely made some money for himself. But
Yeah.
like I said, Penn State, they're actually going to be a pretty decent team next year. A lot of those kids deciding to come back and try to finish the mission and whatnot. But they definitely didn't punk out. They did well enough to where I do believe Franklin keeps his job for another couple years. He showed enough to where, okay, yeah, we definitely going in some type of direction. As far as the other game go with those things, yeah. I mean, think about it. When you talk about, again, NIL money and whatnot, that team in Columbus dished out buku money to get that team to where they got it right now. It only makes sense that they finished the mission. and solidify what they've done. And of course, that's only going to help to bring more money to the program for them to buy more players. So, yeah, just from a standpoint of what's better for the game in general, it's definitely better that they win over Notre Dame. That being said, I can't condemn nothing that deals with that team in Columbus. So, as much as I hate to have to pick them to win, because I got to think with this and not this, I don't want them to win.
I definitely
I don't want them to win.
The way I seen them destroy these other two teams, I don't think it's going to be any different for Notre Dame neither. Because Will Howard's been playing on another level. Then you got your Davian Warren, man. He one of the better running backs in the game.
Right,
man.
and I'm sorry, Riley Leonard. He just don't impress me enough to see him pulling that off. I'm sorry.
I meant to say Travion Henderson. I said the wrong name.
Yeah.
But, that guy's a beast, man. And
they got at least 10 or 12 people on that squad in Columbus.
But you could dish the ball to him, and he could take that mug to the house, though, man. I mean, the other dude on Notre Dame can, Jeremiah Love, he's a stud too. But man, when you got your Travion Henderson, man, I seen him get the ball, man, against Texas. Man, he got the ball on that one play and took it to the house. And that's when I was like, oh, man, there's a problem here, man. And it was a really good game between both games was good because the Penn State game went to just Drew out of making a mental mistake. And why would you throw that pass, man? When he got picked, it wasn't enough time left, man. They had a chance to just go down and kick a field goal. But in that game with Quinn Ewers, I get that dude a hard time all the time, man. I always dog him out. But
yeah, well, speaking of Ewers, quick side note on that. It has been announced today that Ewers has decided to go ahead and enter the NFL draft. What's your thoughts on that, Hugh?
Not surprised. He would have definitely got some NFL NIL deals. They definitely would have been throwing the money at him. But him going right now, man, in a weak draft, too, that might help his stock, too. Because think about it. You got Cam Ward, you got Shedeur Sanders. Who do you have as the other? Okay.
That's it. That's it.
Exactly. So you have a situation where he can improve his stock right now if he go right now because it's not really nobody out there, man. And he might be like one of them Will Levis dudes to go in the second round in this draft.
I would say probably more so than any year ever, these people's pro day is definitely going to be an interesting thing to watch because I think that's going to be the key to how some of these people end up being higher draft picks because I imagine the combine's going to start being like it's been the last couple, especially now that a lot of these kids already got their own money. Yeah. You said what? You want me to go to combine? No, I'm going to pass on that, bro. I got this money. I ain't about to do all that.
And what's crazy too, man? We left the biggest X factor out of the game with OSU and Notre Dame, man. Jeremiah Smith, man. I think he gonna have a big game, and I think he gonna blow that game open.
Like I said, I ain't left out nothing. I don't want to admit the truth, but I got to admit the truth. I have a hard time seeing Notre Dame winning that game. They'll basically have to have the type of downfall like they did that fateful day against my Wolverines, and I just don't see that happening.
What's funny too, E-Man, I was just looking on Bleacher Report. They were saying some of the same thing that we were saying. We about to go off into the NFL too, as for sure. But they were saying that they think that now that the stock from Sam Darnold might have went down, but they still said that man going to be making like $30 million or more.
Well, we definitely going to talk about that. As a matter of fact, let's take this quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll definitely get into the NFL playoffs because we know y'all want to talk about that. We definitely do because, of course, now it's going to be our team's time to shine because we get to play this week. But we will talk about that in a moment. This is Sports. See, I almost did it again. The Guru Sports Session. That's you. That's E. E is me. And we will be back after these words from the people in our Nighthawk Network. You know the motto, people. Nighthawk Network. Our voices for all people.
Hello, hello, hello. It's another glorious day, my T-Steppers, and you know what time it is. I hope you have all of your comfort together because it's time to dish tea. And you're dishing tea, darlings, with Big Meat.
Can't wait. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat.
hold up, hold up.
Yeah, y'all, we are back. This is the Guru Sports Session. I am that dude Eba, and that of course is Hugh Lee, and we are ready to talk what we talk about the most here on the show because that's what we love and that's what y'all love. That is the NFL, and we are in the playoffs. Let's talk about it.
We're gonna jump on the Saturday games, man. I want to start off with the Chargers and the Texans game. I thought that game was going to be a little better than what it was. It got blown out of the waters. Was really shocked because, like I was saying before, man, this man Justin Herbert had 504 pass attempts this year with only 3 interceptions. He had 34 pass attempts going into this game with 4 interceptions. And that's what really I feel like was the X factor in this game. And one of them went back for a touchdown. I just feel like he was making ill-advised passes, man. I believe Jim Harbaugh, what his game was, let's calm you down on passing all the time, and we got to get you a weapon in the backfield. I don't really feel like J.K. Dobbins even really stepped up in the game, and it wasn't giving him an opportunity to really go out and, do the play action pass. But I was disappointed all around because I thought the game was going to be closer. But yeah, and then you see how with the Texans, man, they're a threat when they play well, but they haven't really played that well going into the playoffs. But things change, man. You got to put those records and everything out the window and focus on that game in hand. And it just seemed like he wasn't mentally prepared when they stepped into that game.
Man, Herbert,
You can't keep making excuses for him.
man, you picked a bad day to have a bad day, my friend. I mean, Hugh put all the numbers out there in black and white. Like I said, he was basically among the best in terms of throwing percentage, interception to touchdown ratio, and all of that. But something happened to him that Saturday. I don't know if he ate a bad chicken sandwich or whatever the case may have been, but he just did not show up for them the way they needed him to. And granted, remember, when all is said and done, Harbaugh definitely had a good season with that team. Remember, last year they was deep in the lottery. This year they made the playoffs. So it should only be going up from here. Clearly, they need a little bit more help on that offensive line because, yeah, they did get after him quite a bit. And, of course, he definitely needs some more weapons on that offense because, again, he really didn't have nobody to throw it to him. The people he tried to throw it to, they didn't do a good job protecting him. A couple of those interceptions were not his fault.
Yeah, you seen two of them come off of those dudes' hands.
Yep, dropped some bad routes. But when all is said and done, Herbert wants to be in that upper echelon of quarterbacks. He ain't quite there yet. And this game didn't help that. But I think there will definitely be better days. As far as the Texans go, they did what they had to do. I wasn't overly impressed with them that game either, but
No,
they played well enough, particularly on defense, to get the job done. So kudos to them.
I was more impressed with the defense than I was the offense. Derek Stingley, he had a ball game. Nico Collins looked sharp. I mean, Nico was being Nico, and then you had Joe Mixon went 106 yards in the score, and he kept the game to the point where it was respected on the ground when you had to respect the run game. But yeah, I wasn't really too impressed with
Yeah, I
it.
definitely say the Chargers lost that game more than the
Mhm.
Texans.
Absolutely. It was just that they cleaned up all them interceptions. If you give me 4 interceptions and one I take back for a touchdown, I'm definitely gonna eat. And that final score was a funky one too, 32-12. And it was just really lackluster football, man. But then we
Yeah,
figured,
it was
right.
definitely not a great game to watch at all.
I want to go into the game where I already kind of figured I knew what the outcome was going to be, but didn't think it was going to materialize like this. Going into the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens game, I thought that the Ravens was going to win because of the defense has been playing solid the last 4 or 5 weeks, and on top of that, man, when Lamar Jackson played within himself, and then you turn around and you pitch that ball off to that boy, King Henry. I kind of figured it was going to be some good things happening in this game, but they ran the ball down their throat. They had like 249 yards before the half, man, going up against them, man. And I was definitely surprised to see a Pittsburgh Steelers defense let them run wild like that. But then Russell Wilson didn't really look good as well, and it was so bad to the point. I sent you some stuff that people were saying, and they was like, while we still had a chance, while the game was still kind of close, they wanted Justin Fields to come in, man, because they felt like right then and there on the big stage that Russell Wilson let him down.
I'm not gonna blame Russell for that game. I definitely will blame the defense more because that's what got him there in the first place. Pittsburgh not even having a winning season if not for that defense. And for whatever reason, one of the main people we expected to show up and show out that game, he was real quiet. And I'm
TJ
talking about that
Watt
dude TJ Watt. You didn't hardly hear nothing from that dude that game.
didn't hear nothing from him.
And that's very unusual. But that being said, I really like to talk more about what happens next for Pittsburgh because here's the thing, y'all. We all know about the record 18 straight seasons of a winning record for Coach Mike Tomlin. But we also know that
The one
ever
and
since
done.
Roethlisberger has left Pittsburgh and had trouble finding that right combination of quarterback. I think Russell still got a little bit left in the tank, but you got to get him some weapons. I mean, yeah, Freiermuth, he a good tight end. We all right there. They got a couple okay running backs. That's all right. But the wide receiver room is something wrong going on in that wide receiver room. And it ain't just this year. It's been like that pretty much since Tomlin been the coach. That's the real thing right now. I mean, they switched coordinators and whatnot. I don't know what it is, the disconnect between the wide receivers and what go on in Pittsburgh and whatnot. But I think until we resolve that issue, Pittsburgh only gonna get so far.
And that's always been an issue with the wide receivers, man. You had Antonio Brown, you had Mike Wallace, you had Santonio.
Antonio Holmes, it goes back years and years and years.
Ongoing cycle, man, where they just not happy there and satisfied the way they do their offense, man. And then, you heard George Pickens say when they was asking him, do you think things improved this year? And he said, I think it improved somewhat. And then he was like, do you think that that's enough to motivate you and give you optimism going into next year? And he said, no, not at all. And I was like, yeah, that lets you know, man, that dude is not happy and something's over there. And then I just don't really think it was that easy. I know when they lost the first time when they played, the Ravens, when they lost that game, they was asking what's going on. And then I think Cam Hayward had some things to say, and TJ Watt when they were saying if one person's not doing their job on defense, that can just mess up the whole game plan and just throw us off. So it's been a lot of issues, man, that they're not really discussing that's been going on. But you can see it in the way they played, man, because that defense didn't really play like a Pittsburgh Steelers defense. And then the offense seems shaky, man. So, yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that need to be cleaned up there. And I just want to know, is Coach Mike Tomlin going to be there to clean it up, man?
Yes, the answer is yes. Keep in mind, this is not your ordinary team owner scenario, okay? The Rooneys, if we have not learned anything else about them as owners of a football team, they are extremely, extremely loyal to their head coaches. Remember, we are fans of the Detroit Lions, okay? In the last 50 seasons, we done had over a dozen coaches easy, okay? Pittsburgh Steelers in the last 50 years, how many coaches have they had? You know the number. 1, 2, 3 people. Only 3. No other team in the National Football League can say that. That is because when it comes to loyalty and coaching, the Rooneys, they love you, they love you. Remember, it's called the Rooney Rule for a reason. It was them who helped to implement that rule that you have to at least interview, or at least now you got to interview at least 2 people of color before you pick your head coach. Now, granted, people circumvent the Rooney Rule all the time, but
Yeah, it's a loophole still.
I mean that's a whole nother story. Speaking of DEI, quick little commercial. Check out the I Am Nighthawk show tomorrow. We are definitely going to be talking about DEI and how more and more companies are saying we don't need that no more. We'll talk about it. But anyway, back to the show. Yeah, Mike Tomlin not going nowhere. No doubt in my mind. He not going nowhere unless he want to, and he don't want to. He pretty much said it today. If you trying to get him and trade for him, you wasting your time. No, thank you.
I think too, nobody can handle the personalities like he do, man. Because we didn't know Antonio Brown was a lunatic until we, seen that he was a lunatic. It was really covered up, and a lot of those guys, man, a lot of that stuff wasn't getting out there as much as it is now. Once they left that team, most times he kept those guys in check and disciplined them to let them know you ain't gonna walk around and do whatever you want to do and thinking you're gonna get away with it, man. He was one of those disciplinary coaches that he was one of those guys. It was a no nonsense type of role that he played. And I just think that the personalities are still getting out of hand, but then you know that they can always be replaced. They kind of remind me of how New England used to run their organization, man. If you're not happy here and you acting crazy and you acting disgruntled and you want out, hey, man, there's the door. We'll do it without you. But I still feel like right now that they need to clean up some things over there, man. And
I
they
mean, the key I think they really need to work on is player development on the offensive side. Clearly, they do a very good job defensively with
Mhm.
developing players. On the offensive side, they need to do a
Not so
better
much
job of player development,
because their receivers,
especially in that wide receiver room.
not trying to be funny, they could be second, third options on other teams. That's my opinion.
All
That
right.
final score was 28-14. It wasn't even really that close. It was like garbage points at the end of that game.
The Ravens won that game they were supposed to. I don't have much to say about the game itself, just the aftermath.
The Bills versus the Denver Broncos was another
Same
instance
scenario.
where, when you looked at that and seen the way that materialized, we kind of figured it was going to be that way. I was surprised they got that lucky haymaker at the beginning, and then it wasn't even close. That final score was 31-7, and it don't even look like Josh Allen really broke a sweat. But then in the wild card round, it was going to be some games like that.
You already know. In the ideal world, the Broncos wasn't even supposed to be in the playoffs. We know that.
No,
If the Chiefs had decided to take that weekend off that last weekend, they probably wouldn't have been in the
a
playoffs.
lot of people was taking jabs at the Chiefs too, saying, "Man, y'all was really fearing the Bengals that much that y'all would actually let the Broncos come in and play and go to a playoff." And I
That
was
wasn't it at all.
good.
Again, I need to point out to people what team in the last 5 years has played the most games in the NFL. The answer is simple: the Chiefs. Remember, they'd have been to 4 Super Bowls in 5 years. You got to get some rest when you can. Okay.
The Eagles versus the Green Bay Packers. That game was like one of the ones that I was just looking at, and I had dozed off several times. Like, at first the defenses was going back and forth, but it was like when you looked at it, man, the game wasn't really that good. It wasn't. I'm not even gonna lie to you. You had a good plays where you had a couple of touchdowns, but the game wasn't even close. The unfortunate thing was Christian Watson got hurt with his torn ACL, was out for the season, and then Romeo Dobbs got hurt too. They need a number one wide receiver over there, man. And Green Bay, first and foremost, that's been an issue. They like, we don't have a number one. Well, you need a number one wide receiver. And two, Jordan Love, man, yeah, I know this is second year. Everybody was thinking he was the best thing in the world, MVP type candidate. When he plays good and he's on, he's on. But when he try to play hero ball and do too much, he really looked bad. Them stats show it, man. 212 yards, but he had 3 interceptions and 3 ill-advised interceptions too. So I believe that's what helped him too with his development, man. Him getting better, or at least get a number one wide receiver over there in Green Bay.
Don't forget they also had some injuries on that offensive line that day as well. That definitely played a factor. Yeah, we know the Packers, they still evolving as a squad. They still a very young team, so they remind me very much of what our Lions looked like a couple years ago. So I'm not surprised they got there and wasn't quite ready for prime time. In the meanwhile, it's like you kind of gave the Eagles another week off, so to speak. It did look at times like a scrimmage game for them. It was to the point where, hell, you see Saquon wasn't even running full speed in them last quarter. I mean, he had a breakaway touchdown near the end of that game, and he just kind of sat down like, "Nah, I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna do y'all like that." I mean, it was too easy for him. And of course, there's still something to be concerned about. We know the whole thing about the
AJ
book,
Brown.
the book reading on the sideline of AJ Brown. this book that he had that's supposed to help him calm his nerves or whatnot. You don't need to do that if you're happy with what's going on. There's definitely still some disconnect on that squad offensively. But
Because who scored those touchdowns, E? You remember who scored those touchdowns?
we're talking about this last game.
With the Eagles, Devontae Smith and of course
Uh,
Goddard.
you already know certain
Went to
wide
AJ Moore.
receivers. If it ain't them, they ain't happy. Plain and simple.
That final score was 22-10 to a very funky score. But then yeah, I want to see how things materialize, man, because they definitely got a game on their
Yeah, and
hands.
then of course for those people saying, yeah, something wrong with Jalen Hurts, he was fine. He was fine. He did what he needed to do. He didn't overexert himself. He was chilling.
The Washington Commanders versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Now we talking some playoff football.
Really felt bad for Baker, but it was like, man, making them mental mistakes would cost you a game. It was back and forth, and it got to the point where Baker, if he would have executed that drive, which I knew he would, that one mistake messed him up though, because when you made that mistake, not only did you fumble the ball, but you did it an instant red zone opportunity. And that was basically the game. You could start to see the body language, and you could see that he was like, man, I done messed up for the squad, man. And he definitely didn't play with the same aggressiveness after that.
Man, say what you will. They do not even make it to the playoffs without Baker Mayfield, okay? They do not even get to that point in the game without Baker Mayfield. I got nothing but respect and admiration for that dude and all he has done since his faithful days in the Cleveland Browns. And I'm sure he thank God every day that he got out of that nightmare of an organization. Because we already know what's going on there. But anyway, yeah, you got to give Baker some credit. Remember, we said at the beginning of the season that this was probably going to be the weakest division in football, NFC South. So the fact that they barely won to get into the playoffs, mind you, if not for the luckiest man in the NFL deciding that he wasn't going to be good, so that they had to put Penix in them last couple games. Yeah, he did just enough to win that game, but he also did just enough to lose that game. And again, in terms of the playoffs this weekend, by far the best game of any of them was that one.
Yeah, I
And I
agree.
thoroughly enjoyed watching it. And again, we got to give some respect to two people on that Washington Commanders team. Of course, Scary Terry, who it don't seem like it matter where you put the ball. He catching that son bitch, okay? Some unbelievable catches that dude makes. And of course, the rookie that is not a rookie, Jaden Daniels. Talk about him, Hugh.
I feel like Jay Daniels, man, just never really was rattled, and the stage never got too big for him when he was at ASU in college, and things didn't work out. The whole harm, debacle, and when he finally went to LSU, when he went over there, how well he played, got the MVP, came to the league, and they wanted to wonder why he's playing so well. But when he played so well, he said, "Because I've already been there, and I've done things on the big stage." When he was in the SEC. He came in the league, kind of started off slow, but the man just really got in rhythm, man. And like I said, man, that dude's never rattled. To beat a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, too, like he did when he beat them throwing 5 touchdowns, too, man. That's not a rookie. That's a dude who basically came in and wanted to make his mark. And the way he executed, the way that he go out there and he's not rattled, the way he play, man, you got to give credit where credit is due.
Well, see, you got to remember, Hugh, these are not your typical rookies to begin with. Remember, these are some of the COVID year quarterbacks that came out. The ones
Yeah.
that got some extra playing time that normally wouldn't have. When you talk about him and Bo Nix, they didn't had over 100 starts apiece damn near in college. So when you talk about that, they don't go into the NFL like, oh my God, I'm 20. What to do? What to do? These are like 22 and 23. I mean, even Michael Penix Jr., kind of an older freshman, so to speak.
Mhm.
So I'm not surprised that all three of them played relatively well in the league this season. The one dude that was kind of sort of shaky, the dude that came out of his normal time, Caleb Williams. So, but that being said, yeah, if you thinking that Washington gonna come into Lions country this week and we just about to run over them like that, I don't know. I don't be so sure about that. But we about to get into the predictions in a minute.
That game was pretty good too. It was decided at the very end, and the funny thing is, it seemed like they jinxed the kicker when they were saying how rough a pass he's had and been struggling with the kick because the kick looked like it wasn't gonna make it at first. It doinked off the goalpost and finally rolled in, which was a shocker. But then at the same time, man, it was unfortunate. As far as Baker Mayfield, you did enough to win, but did just enough to lose. So at that point, anything can happen in the playoffs, man. The final score was on 23-20, and they moving on to Detroit. But the last game was the one that really surprised me because with that game, I was talking to one of my homeboys and I told him because Claude thought that Minnesota was just going to run straight through Los Angeles. I said, I don't know, man. I said, I know they played this year and they came off of a rough game losing to us, but then they lost to Los Angeles. I said, man, I definitely feel like they got a good pass rush, man, to get to them. And I think that if I had to choose right now, I would definitely go with the Rams because they got more motivation than what you need. For the wildfire situation, they've been getting backed up from, the Los Angeles wildfires. And then you turn around not only just from the Los Angeles wildfires, but the whole comments that Dan Campbell made when he shook Kevin O'Connell's hand at the end of the game and saying, I'll see you in 2 weeks. So that was a little bit more motivation in itself. And they beat the brakes off of them, man. That game wasn't even close. It was 10-0 at the wink of an eye. And one part of the game I thought was going to change the momentum was when Stafford did the intentional grounding. But then they were saying that he looked like he passed the ball. So they gave it back to the Rams. I said, okay, if they would have let that play go, even if they didn't score the touchdown, if it went to Minnesota, I think that could have changed everything in the game. But since the ball went back to the Rams, it seemed like that lost a little sizzle. And once that happened, man, the Rams didn't look back. They just continued to stump that dude, put pressure on him, and just kept Sam Darnold running for his life, man. That dude was rattled.
I mean, keep in mind, give the Rams organization credit all the way around. They came up with a great game plan. They basically said, you see what the Lions did to them dudes? We can do that, right? Let's do that. And that's exactly what they did. They basically had him scrambling out the pocket. They covered his best receiver. He couldn't force it to him. So he either had to eat it like he did 9 different times,
Mm-hmm.
9 sacks by 8 different players, no less, or he basically made bad throws, much like he did that last game. It's unfortunate for Sam Darnold because, again, much like with Herbert in the other playoff game, you picked a bad time to start playing your worst football. You probably cost yourself a good $30-40 million these last couple weeks and how you played the game. That being said, as far as that play that we talked about in terms of Stafford, give Stafford some credit. That was actually a savvy veteran move on his part. Even if he didn't really try to throw that away, he at least made it seem like it enough. Because keep in mind, when it happened, as soon as he started to go, he was like, look, I tried to throw it. I tried to throw it. I threw it. I threw it. And because he's a veteran and he can do some freaky stuff with his arm, you gave him benefit of the doubt. I mean, that being said, I still felt like that should have been at least intentional grounding.
Agreed.
I don't care what you say. When you see what Puka Nacua was, as opposed to where he tried to throw that ball, he could have barely seen Puka at best. Okay, remember, these dudes have helmets on, okay? He might have knew where Puka was supposed to be. That might have helped it, but no. That being said, I don't think it mattered if they would have got that touchdown anyway.
No.
They still would have lost that game. Just based upon how bad Sam Darnold played. And it's kind of not so good to talk to these players right after the game. I mean, we understand why they do it because you want their honest reaction in the time, but you knew that Jefferson wasn't going to be happy after that game. So his comments afterwards basically like, I'm just going with the flow and whatnot. I'm going to make my money. I mean, something to that effect. I mean, yeah. Bottom line is you want to figure some stuff out because more than likely Darnold is going to be back with Minnesota next year.
I wouldn't be
Not quite
surprised.
for the kind of money that he thought he was going to get.
No, they're going to definitely get him on a discount. He's not going to make that crazy money that he thought he would.
I already told you, I felt like he was probably looking at about 45. Right now, I think he either looking at a Baker Mayfield type deal, 3 years for $100 million, or basically they're gonna say, okay, we'll just go ahead and hit you with a hot 2 for 50. See how that work out.
I agree. I definitely feel like he's going to get a lower contract, nothing to what he thought that he'd make. The 2 games kind of hurt him, but I tell people too when they make fun and they joking and talking stuff about him. I said, hey man, one thing I've learned from being a football fan and being a New England Patriot fan for all those years too, man. I was like, y'all better humble yourselves, man, because check this out. We still got to play, you know. So I say, get that out your heads, man. Don't be too cocky. And I know people were saying when it came to Sam Darnold that he was a joker, he was a fraud. I said, hey, say what you want, man. We can't be focused on him right now. We need to focus on what we need to do, you know. And I was telling people because they look at it like we just gonna run through Washington. I said, y'all just got to realize, man, that we got to go out there and if we can execute and handle our business with the coaching staff we have, that's all we need to do. But yeah, man, the playoffs is a different animal, man. You
Yeah,
got
but
to
yeah, before we get to this week's predictions, let me one last note on Sam Darnold. I mean, the good thing for Sam Darnold is the fact that when we look at this upcoming NFL draft, it ain't like it's a lot of people coming to take his place. Okay,
no.
so it's definitely to his advantage that he did win 14 games this year. So he definitely gonna get signed again somewhere. It's just a question of where and how much. It's definitely gonna be more than the 10 million he made this year. So he can't be too mad.
And I definitely feel like with him, man, he's still gonna be a solid quarterback, man. He resurrected his career going to San Fran too. And just
Absolutely.
think about, man, that dude not even 30 yet, man. So you still gonna get you a really solid quarterback, man. Even if he didn't come back to the Minnesota Vikings, that dude's only 27, so he still has.
Right. Worst case scenario, you at least got a decent backup.
Absolutely, because they still got to look at it and say, "Hey, man, we still got our quarterback, our guy." Didn't expect for him to JJ McCarthy to get hurt, and but definitely that put Sam Darnold
I mean,
in
because
as a
think about it. Unless you got Cam Ward or Shador Sanders coming to the facility, I don't think I would pick any other quarterbacks coming out over Sam Darnold. Would
no,
you?
because what he did, man, he laid down his groundwork this year, man. He had so many winning drives and just did so much. Nobody even expected him to do as well as he did, and he did exactly that. So yeah, I give still credit where credit's due, regardless of the fact, and still got to
Right.
give credit to Kevin O'Connell too for coaching him up like he did.
Oh yeah.
I want to get off into the games now, going into Saturday.
Yes, sir.
The first game is the Kansas City Chiefs at 4:30 against the Houston Texans, and
Chiefs.
they have them winning that game, of course, and I'm gonna definitely go
Chiefs.
with the Chiefs. Then we have the Commanders versus the Lions.
All right. Now you know I can't just give you the standard answer. I got to explain this one. Okay. Understand. They are coming to Ford Field. I need to explain something to y'all, good people. For those of you who don't know, we right now have the most expensive ticket for an NFL playoff game in the history of the National Football League. If you're just trying to get, you see that little stadium I got up here? Think about that, them seats over there by the lights. Right now at Ford Field, you try to get one of them seats, $900 cash money. Okay, I actually talked to one of the parking lot people today. They're gonna post a price they've never posted before. $125 to park downtown.
Mm.
And that's not right across the street from the stadium, man. You talking about a couple blocks away. And guess what? These people gonna pay that. They gonna pay that. So that being said, if you done paid that type of money to get into the building, oh, you going for it. You gonna be nice and loud after you done waited all day. Remember, the game's at 8 o'clock in the evening on a Saturday in the D. You already know what time it is, you. They're gonna be nice and liquored up and ready to roar it. Yeah. So what I'm saying is the Commanders come into a very, very hostile environment. First of all. Second of all, they got a problem that's gonna haunt them on this one. They have the 30th rush defense in the National Football League. We got Sonic, and guess what? Knuckles coming back too. two of the better running backs in the league against that defense that ain't good against the run, it could get very ugly. The X factor for Washington, though, is they got that dude Daniels, and he ain't no joke. Call him rookie not. That dude got veteran skills. Not to mention he is the one type of quarterback that we have always struggled with, the scrambling kind. We don't play well against scrambling quarterbacks normally here in Detroit. With that being said, we on a mission. We on a mission from God. Don't be surprised if this is a lot closer game than some of y'all fools been saying on local radio. Oh, we gonna win 3-4 touchdowns. Y'all better calm all that down. I think this might actually be a close one, but when all is said and done, I'm going with my Lions. What you say, Hugh?
I have them as a 10-point favorite, maybe a 9.5. But like you said, they're gonna give us fits at some point. Like you said, when it comes to Jay Daniels being a running quarterback. One good thing is too, before all this stuff even happened, we got Alexander Zaloni back and we got Maven back, our linebacker. So the game plan
Like
and the
Terry
play,
Arnold gonna be back as well. That's definitely gonna hit.
who you say?
Terry Arnold looks like he's gonna be back for this game as well.
Yeah, because he was banged up last week, and then you heard Ennis Recorstraw going to be back too. So there's going to be some good pieces that come back. But yeah, it's going to be actually if Aaron Glenn can put together a really good defense, a mastermind defense in this one, and at least get it to the point where we can neutralize them to like at least that 9.5-point victory, I'd be satisfied. But that dude, the groundwork he's put in already, he should already have a job. Him and Ben Johnson. But
Bottom line, if we beat that point spread this week, and you got an interview with that dude after that, don't let him leave the building.
Yeah, because it's like
Don't let him leave the building. That's your coach. Don't let him leave the building.
We can definitely lose both of them guys because what I'm looking at is the Las Vegas trying to get Ben and they trying to lure him in with the goal. And then, right now, I think one of the front runners, surprising enough too, is the New York Jets to get Aaron Glenn. And I thought about it like it's not really too much of a surprise because that was his old team he played for.
Well, keep in mind, they say New Orleans been wanting to talk to Aaron Glenn as well. He used to play down there also. So
Yeah.
it could get. Bottom line is, I definitely expect we're gonna lose both of those guys. I'm gonna find it very interesting to see who we replace those two with, mind you. But for the time being, they with us, and I think the combination of them two should be more than enough to beat the Commanders. But don't expect it to be no cakewalk. Remember, if our defense was whole and we have all these injuries, I'd probably be saying a little different. But it's a realm of possibility they can make it interesting. I still think we win, but I don't think it's going to be the blowout that a lot of y'all think it's going to be.
The Rams going to the Eagles.
Again, don't expect this to be the blowout that some of y'all think it's going to be. Some of y'all on social media be like, oh yeah, Eagles going to blow them out. Not so fast, my friend. Not so fast. Put some respect on Matthew's name, okay? That dude showing y'all, yeah, I'm a Hall of Famer for real. For real, for real. I got one ring. Could mess around and get another one for us all said and done. It ain't going to be this Saturday, though. I definitely see the Eagles winning that game, but again, just based on what I'm seeing with the Eagles, it's going to be moments where, yeah, what they doing? Why they let Puka Nakua catch that like that? You know what I'm saying? I can see that being to where, okay, this might be a touchdown game. But all that being said, if we still got that dude running the ball like he been running the ball, I don't see the Rams doing much with that.
I take the Eagles, but only by 3 in this one.
I'm going to go with the Eagles by about a touchdown.
Ravens versus the Bills.
Now we talking, okay? This should be the game of the weekend, beyond doubt. Keep in mind, it's a lot of storylines in this one, but the biggest one is obviously, okay, who is the real MVP? Is it that dude, Josh Allen, and all the great things we've seen him do over the season? Or is it that dude Lamar, who, even though he's already been a 2-time MVP, actually had his best season ever as a pro? Remember back in the day when you were saying, yeah, I don't think that dude's a quarterback. He probably should be a wide receiver or something, or running back. I don't think it's any doubt now. That dude ain't nobody's running back, okay? that dude is a quarterback. But the thing that's going to solidify it all for him is he at least got to make that big jump. He at least got to get to the game. So yeah, all the pressure right now, even though Buffalo got their own little set, I say it's firmly on Baltimore. Okay. But that being said, a key factor in this game, because that game is in Buffalo, correct? You see what type of weather we got coming on Sunday? Because we getting it Saturday. So if it's gonna be snowy and about 30 here on Saturday, that means on Sunday in Buffalo, it might get real ugly. Real ugly benefits the home team. Because keep in mind, Lamar, he don't mind playing in the snow. He can do some of that in Baltimore, but it seems like Josh is kind of built for it. Remember, that dude went to Wyoming. It snowed all the time there. He ain't even phased. So that being said, I'm still going with the Ravens. They got the better weapons.
I'm going with the Ravens too, and it's going to be in the close one. I only got them by 2 points, so that's how close it is. It's a toss up.
Yeah, like I said, I'm picking the Ravens, but I ain't giving no point spread. It could go to overtime for all I know. I kind of hope it do. I expect it to be a damn good game. Okay, damn good game. Let the best team win.
Yes, sir. I think that's going to be real close.
Absolutely.
But shit, that's all I have to say. E-Man, anything you want to add on, man?
No, not really. Like I said, we thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate your contributions to that. We've been trying to set things up to where we start putting clips and stuff on the various platforms. One of them, of course, was going to be the Ticking Talking, but seeing today is Wednesday and we still have not heard from the Supreme Court as to whether or not they're going to take that ban on TikTok and kind of put it off for a while, or say y'all do what y'all do. For our people on TikTok, you might see a reel or two that we put on this week, but I don't want to lose you. I'm just not starting to get used to TikTok, but we gotta go. We gotta go.
Yeah, they've been giving them more, love too. As far as when we put up our advertisements, man, we be almost in the thousands when we put
Like I
stuff.
said, we both doing pretty good on TikTok these last few days. Y'all like when I put my little food on there. I guess I should do that more often if we keep TikTok. But yeah, as far as me and Hugo, we're gonna look into our options, just like everybody else been doing. What can we do instead of TikTok? Apparently, there's several options out there, but keep in mind, people, most of those options are foreign related. So remember why they banned TikTok in the first place? If you go to Lemonade or some of these other ones I done heard, a lot of them are Chinese and Taiwanese based companies as well. So you might just be moving just for the moment until you got to move it.
Rarely.
Yeah, and they say even if they do sell TikTok, the way the algorithms and all is set up, it won't be the same. So TikTok, as we know it, probably about to die either way it goes. So we'll see how that play out. But in the meanwhile, we're still here on Facebook and YouTube. Check us out here. You will tell you where else you can check him out right quick. Go on, handle that, you.
You can catch me on Hoovy on Instagram. I'll be on there, and most times I put up the advertisement as far as our shows. The Guru's Perspective on Tuesday at 1 p.m. and then Wednesday, the Guru Sports Session at 9 p.m. Sports Guru to You is where I put a lot of my late breaking news and a lot of the scores from the football, basketball, baseball, etc. Hugh.Lee6 temporarily right now until we figure out what's going to be going on. That's my TikTok page. And I'm on X now too as Hugh Lee, the sports guru. I put a little advertisement on there now. I've got my X page going on over there. And of course, you can catch me at sportsguru2you@gmail.com if you got any questions or anything you want to ask. But we definitely appreciate you guys' love and support. And thanks once again, you guys, for chiming in, for me doing the Guru Perspective on YouTube and just constantly, putting your heads in and giving feedback on the Guru Sports Session. Thank you all, and we appreciate y'all support.
All right. Of course, you can find me on Eric Buckner, Nighthawk Network Detroit on YouTube. Of course, look at our Facebook page, Eric Buckner. Don't forget, as he said, go to Sports Guru to You. You can get some information there. And of course, Hugh Lee's Facebook page as well. As an organization, we will not be on X. You can do X. We don't do X. We will also not be on Truth Social. That's not happening either. Okay, y'all know how I feel about the future former president. I ain't got nothing to do with nothing. He got something to do with. All right, feel how you feel about it. We will find other avenues, and when we do, we'll let you know what's going on with that. That's all I got to say on that.
Likewise, yeah. Just looking at the breaking news too, they saying Aaron Glenn just took his name out of all the other coaching teams and saying that he told people the Jets are the first choice job for him as the head coach.
Interesting. It sounds like to me if you've done that, that's with the understanding that that's your job. That's your job. There it is, y'all. Of
Yeah.
course, you'll be able to find that information on Sports Guru to you. I'm sure he'll be posting that as soon as we get off of here. So, yeah, but it sounds like to me, you already chose. It's just
hmm
it's time to get the numbers figured out.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's already on here. I'm about to just stroll through and make sure.
All right. So yeah, like I said, we constantly updating news and notes and whatnot. So go on and check it out. Like I said, I'm about to get out of here. By the time y'all see this, that game will be over. But right now, that game is on. So yeah, I got to check out my girl Paige and MU. So let us get up out of here, bruh.
All right, man. Yeah,
All
I'm
right,
gonna
good people. Y'all know what it is. Here go the fingers. Let us get the theme song going, and we out.